What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 22nd day of November, and here we are sitting at about 80,600. Or no, sorry, that's the low, 80,600. The current price is 84,300. We had a little bit of recovery yesterday, a lot of volume. That was the most volume that we saw so far out of all these spikes, and that happened to be at the lowest price. Right? Let's go back in time. Okay. Whenever we were moving down here, here was a large spike, right? But the largest spike in volume, I guess this was the largest spike as far as actual size go, but I mean like the largest in overall volume happened right here, right? This is the largest spike in volume right here, and that happened to be right here at the lows. Was it the exact low? Did we go lower? We went lower. It wasn't the exact low, but all I'm trying to say is whenever we get a lot of volume in a certain designated area, typically that does mark a relative low or even a relative high, just depending on how you go about it. If as we proceed lower, we get more volume, that's going to be intimidating. That'd be very intimidating. But if we proceed lower, or if we just move sideways or whatever, and volume starts to kind of decrease, that would be encouraging. That okay, we're consolidating. We're probably going to break out here pretty soon, one way or the other. It is possible that we consolidate here and that we move to the downside. We still can go lower, but in my opinion, there's a lot of evidence in the charts that suggests we're probably going to see something like this, where if we go lower, it's not going to be by any kind of nominal amounts. It won't be anything significant that anybody's going to feel like they missed out on, right? It might be enough to scare you because it's a lower low at that moment, but realistically, I think what we're going to see is some kind of sideways price action for about 30 to 60 days, 4 to 6 weeks, or 4 to 8 weeks. Maybe it is 4 to 6 weeks, but 4 to 8 weeks, somewhere in that time frame. So that would imply then 28 to 56 days from this low, it could be the 20th of December that we start to move up again. It could be sometime in January that we start to move up again. I don't think people are prepared for this, right? A lot of people, what's going on right now, I think in people's minds, the way that it's primed, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think people are expecting we're either just going to continue to crap out, or when we recover, it's going to be a fantastic recovery. I don't think either of those are going to happen, right? Maybe we get a nice little pump here. Maybe a pump from $80,600 to $96,000 is nice, or to $101,000 is nice. Maybe that is a nice quick pump, but more or less, we're going to move sideways, I think, for probably about the next, again, 30 to 60 days. Typically, that's what happens. The only reason I could see us coming back up from this in a very short amount of time, and the one thing that gives me hope that we could see a true V-shaped recovery, that is a very short-lived experience. We don't really consolidate much down here. The only thing giving me hope about that is this whole situation is just one giant mishap effery of whether it was coordinated, whether it was a mistake. I was actually talking to a friend who's very, very, very involved with crypto to the degree that I am, if not even more. He might even be more involved in crypto than I am. He keeps up with things. I keep up with things, and he was telling me that what happened, and nobody knows. Nobody knows what happened on October 10th. Somebody knows, but nobody's telling us what happened. We'll probably know as time comes out. But October 10th, apparently it was a flaw in the system, in the market making system with Binance. So it was a flaw. It wasn't that it was a coordinated effort, is what I'm hearing. I still theorize it was a coordinated effort. It just might have been a coordinated effort from somebody on the inside, but not from perhaps the leadership. Somebody knew about this flaw and exploited it, because there was that short right before the 10th of October here, right before the 10th of October, or right on this day, there was that short that got taken out right before this massive calamitous drop happened, and they made like 100 and however many millions of dollars. I think there was some coordinated attempts here, but because apparently the way that everything's linked up with Coinbase, Gemini, all the major exchanges, Binance, KuCoin, all their market makers are effectively tethered to the same custodian, more or less, and or the same process. So when Binance's flaw, whatever it is, with the market making system happened, there was no orders to step in and stop the price from going lower. This just set off a chain reaction of worse things. I don't even know fully what I'm talking about here. This is just what I've heard, and I still believe that this whole effort is coordinated to some effect. It is manipulated to some effect. It all started with this, but it might not be as deliberate as some people are thinking. I don't know if this is a deliberate push to knock the prices down lower so that the big dogs can liquidate everybody and then they can scoop up and buy the lows. More so, I think it's a coordinated push to just mess with the big dogs in crypto, the big exchanges. I think it might have been a coordinated effort to sabotage a very delicately laid system the way that the market making is. I don't know. Again, I don't know everything that I'm talking about right now, but I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. All I'm saying is, if there is any kind of coordinated effort, if this was man-made, that's what gives me the hope that we could see a rapid recovery, right? I like to treat. I was talking to a friend about this, talking to my wife about this too. It's like a beach ball, right? If you put a beach ball in the water, or any kind of inflatable ball, it could be a basketball. You put it in the water, what's it going to do? It's going to float naturally. But if somebody comes in and manipulates that natural response, if we push it down, we could keep that thing pushed down pretty well. You know, we can push it down, but at some point we got to go eat. We got to go to the bathroom. We got to go to sleep. At some point we're going to have to let the pressure off. And when that pressure is released, that ball is going to come back to the surface and it's going to leap out of the surface, out of the water. And then it'll return to equilibrium, right? So we could see that leap, that effect come back, and maybe we do get a V-shaped recovery that takes us all the way up to 116K. This is something else I was talking about with my friend who's, again, been in crypto as long as I have. He might be more obsessed with crypto than I am, and that's saying something, man. I'm pretty damn obsessed. I live, eat, breathe, and do the number 2 to this thing. Seriously, I don't think I've gone to the bathroom without looking at charts since I was like 17. Anyways, we could, if we do see a V-shaped recovery all the way up to about 116K, that's where the real psychological warfare comes in. Because is this a lower high of which we build our bear market base from? Or is this a point at which we break out? If we break that, then it's game on. We're in bull market mode. And I think the market makers and the people in charge are aware of this. They're aware of the psychology of the markets. They're aware of how important this level is. So we might see some effery with this level. Maybe we go for it, we're reaching for it, but we don't quite hit it. We pull back, everyone's convinced we're in a bear market, and then boom, then we rally. We break above this level in a very quick recovery, and then as soon as we break it, everybody thinks we're in a bull market, and boom, we come back down. Anything can happen, right? Right now, we're all wondering, and I would say most people aren't wondering at this point. I think most people are accepting that this is a bear market. I'm not accepting yet, right? And the reason why is because we've got higher lows still on the macro. Everybody's so quick to call this a bear market, yet we don't have lower lows, and this drop from a high to a low is actually a very standard drop in the grand kind of scheme of every bull market that we've had. A 36% drop is basically standard. That's a 30 to 40% drop. I mean, you're right smack dab in the middle of that. That's perfect. And it is a higher low, and we do have very high levels of fear. Very high levels of fear. I'm actually kind of curious here. I wonder, I'm sure it went up from an 11. That was the record low. I just want to see what it is now. If it went lower, even better. The lower we go, yeah, okay, 10. Good. The more intense the reaction should be. And again, I do expect, what I'm calling for is effectively one of two things, and I'm leaning more toward the idea that we move sideways. The only reason why I'm giving this V-shaped recovery a chance at all is specifically because I do think this is a manipulated effort. It just might not be manipulated in the way that I had assumed. The purpose behind it might be different. I think it was more sabotage, not for market participants. That's just collateral damage. I think it was sabotage for one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the space, because they've got competitors, and whenever you're in the financial game, they play financial warfare. That's what this is. And I don't know. I think that's what it is. Binance is apparently in all kinds of trouble with this stuff, and I don't know if they were the ones behind it or if someone from Binance was behind it. I don't think that it was a coordinated effort from Binance. I think it was an intentional sabotage. But again, I'm talking about things that I don't know about. I don't have necessarily conclusive evidence of, but I'm just talking about things that make sense to me. Who knows really what happened? Some people know, but again, the reason why we're not hearing about it, the reason why it's not transparent and in the media, and we're not getting a news published headline story about this, is because whatever happened was bad. It was bad. It was so bad that to talk about it in public would probably piss a lot of people off, and might make things worse. So something nefarious is going on here. Because of that, we might see a V-shaped recovery. That's a possibility that I accept. But I'm sure a lot of people are expecting that. A lot of people are probably expecting us to keep moving down at a fast pace too. So I want to be away from what most people are thinking. To me, the most logical conclusion would be that we do move sideways. I'm of the camp that we either V-shaped recovery or move sideways for about 30 to 60 days, and then we move up probably in late December. And I'm sticking with this option more so than the V-shaped recovery. But anything's possible. I mean, hell, we could go lower. And maybe we do. Maybe we go a little bit lower before either of those things happen. Maybe in the process of going sideways, we do move lower a couple times. But, we'll see. And again, the reason why, hold on. The reason why we know we're going to move sideways, or why we believe that, is because how low we are in the RSI on the daily time frame. Every time that we're this low or lower, every single time, at least since the beginning of this bull market, since 2022, I think even in 2021, we did it yesterday. I'm not going to do every single example now, but every single time that we've had these lows, just look right here. When we had this low, we consolidated from February, end of February, until the middle of April, right? Month and a half right there. It's about 6 weeks. Here, whenever we hit this low, we consolidated. I mean, we went up, we went down, and we really consolidated from July until September, and then we started to move up. And then we really actually started to move up. And even then, we're still part of this consolidation. We didn't see higher highs until October, right? And then it's the same thing with all of these. Same thing back here. This was the relative low point of this area. We had a massive drop like we just had, but we consolidated for about a month, and then we moved up. Higher lows and higher highs. Slightly lower low right there. But all I'm trying to say is every single time, literally every single time that we've seen this, except for once, except for one time. There was one time in the bear market, I think, where we didn't consolidate for 30 to 60 days afterwards. One time where we consolidated, I think it was like less than 20 days, but still, I think it was 18 days. But still, even 18 days from now would put us in like the second week of December. It's going to be some time. Anybody right now who's leveraging, if you're going long or short, not financial advisor, not a financial advisor, first off, with a absurdly obvious manipulated effort down, I would say probably stay away from that. Probably stay away from that. But I would expect that we're going to be range bound. So if we put in a high somewhere and we come back down, expect that the low will be somewhere near these lows. Maybe a slightly higher low, maybe a slightly lower low. And then when we recover, we'll likely go back to around these high points, right? We're probably going to be range bound more or less for the next 30 to 60 days. If we're looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, and I called for this back here. I said we'd be range bound for 2 to 4 weeks, and we were range bound. Let's see, from October 10th till really November 3rd. That's about 2 to 4 weeks right there, and then we moved down. I thought, however, we moved to the upside. We were right about half the call, right? We consolidated, yes, but we broke down, unfortunately. But I think it was here at this price. We did call for the price to go down to like 94K. But we were not expecting it to go this low. That's for damn sure, right? We definitely were not expecting it to go this low. I don't know how many people were. Maybe even the most bearish people were expecting that we move down here, but I don't know if anybody expected that it would be this fast, right? I certainly didn't. I didn't think it'd be this fast. And it definitely picked up the pace as we went down. But again, a lot of volume at the lows. A lot of volume at the lows. That could suggest that we are at a low point. Just because we're at a low point doesn't mean the low is in. We can go lower. We could even go lower than lower, right? And still consolidate, and maybe we form some kind of volatile pattern, and then we break out. Whatever it might be, I just think that we're going to consolidate. It's not going to be a perfect little bar sideways. Maybe it will be, but it's going to be some kind of pattern. We're in the early stages of development right now. I want to look at the 1 hour time frame here. Talking about some kind of pattern. This is almost like an ascending triangle. Almost, kind of. It's weird. It's like I don't even know what to call it. The RSI does look good. I think that we do move higher. Stochastics look good, and the MACD looks good. I do think that we move up from here. So we're at 84.4K. Not that I'm not leverage trading right now. I'm just spot trading, because spot trading is good enough right now. There's a lot of opportunities. But if you were to leverage trade, I think a long position might be safest right here. Personally, not financial advisor, not a financial advisor. I would expect that, just looking at this, we probably move up to anywhere from roughly 89K to about 93K, somewhere in that range. That would just make sense to me, looking at the price, but I could be wrong. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame and see if we can throw some fibs. That'll make sense out of this as well. Is this the most recent high? I don't know where to take the fibs, man. Let's take a extension instead. Low to high here. Look at that, guys. We went all the way down to the money zone. How many times just in the past month have we identified things that have gone right to the money zone and found support or resistance. It happens. Sorry. Um, it's kind of wild, actually. The direct support that you found right there. It's beautiful. Um, I get people that mock the fact that I have so many fib extensions. And to be fair, we don't really use them past the 3113. It's very rare that the 3618 or the 4618 or anything like that comes into play. I'm not too familiar with the reactions down here, right? Typically it is like direct support here, but you can find support at any of these lines. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm more familiar with everything from the 3113 and up. I'm more familiar with all this, and to disregard, some people mock it because they think that it needs to stop at the 1618, or like double extensions are just too much. You should draw another extension by then, but there's a relationship, right? And this is what I mean by another extension, right? From here we drew a low to a high, so went all the way down to the 2886 3113. But here you have another low to high that you could take, and this one, I mean, to be fair, went basically to that same level, went a little bit lower. But the thing is, here I'm taking a less significant range. This range is less significant than this range. This is a more significant range. Therefore, you're going to find more respect. And look at the respect all the way down that you found. Literally finding resistance at the 2618, support at the 3113, resistance at the golden ratio, support right there, support at all these levels, resistance at the golden ratio. It's all the way down. It's perfect. So I would expect then we probably do respect it going up as well, right? This is our most kind of significant area of turbulence recently, and that is at about 89 to 93K. That's the target area that we're going to go to. That's probably like where we're going to go. And with the fibs, just as you're stair-stepping your way down, and that's productive to the downside, if you want to reverse, if you want to validate that this is the low, a good step to doing that would be showing that you're being constructive to the upside. So you're finding resistance at the 2618, right? That's the red line here. You found support at the 3113. Now find support at a higher fib level, and then find resistance at a higher fib level, and then support at a higher fib, and then resist. You know what I mean? Step your way up, and it doesn't have to be every single fib that gets hit. From here, I think getting to 89 to 93K is fair, but maybe we do push higher. Maybe we do go up to 96K. What I would say is I doubt that from here we push past 96K without any kind of volatility. Again, unless we get this V-shaped recovery, I don't really expect. If we do get a V-shaped recovery, we're probably going to go all the way up to like 107, 108 to 116K. And that could happen. I mean, genuinely, if we get a V-shaped recovery, that could happen by the end of November. It could happen by the end of the first week or second week of December. We really could. We don't know. But if this is to be a V-shaped recovery, it would probably have to happen within this next week. Like if it's the end of November and we're not yet above 93K, it's probably not a V-shaped recovery. Okay? Like if the end of this next week is not above 93K, we're probably not in a V-shaped recovery. Right? Or if we're like this, doing this, and even if it is the end of November and we're up like this, it's probably, I mean, maybe it could be a V-shaped recovery, but it's probably not. V-shaped recoveries are typically like if you came down like this, the recovery would be even more tenacious. It wouldn't be more methodical. It would be more tenacious. It'd be ripping through the roof. But anyways, the next areas to focus on really, I suppose, are 89 to 93K, potentially as high as 96K. And if we happen to break through these levels without like really consolidating at all, if we're just moving through it and pushing through it, that could be suggestive that we are in a V-shaped recovery. But I'd have to see us above like 96K, at least 93K by the end of the month, but probably above 96K by the end of the month. 84.4K now, 4-hour time frame. RSI is beat to all hell. And this is what I mean by be careful out there, because look at this. You had a low and a higher low, and you still went lower, right? And you had a higher low, and you still went lower. And you had like triple bullish divergence at one point, and you still went lower. So just be careful. Just be careful, right? Moments like this, the charts can be deceitful. It's all statistical probability. Nothing's a guarantee anyways. MACD looks bearish. Stochastics look bearish. The RSI looks bearish. They all look bearish, but I'm still calling for the upside. Right, like if we were going solely off these indicators, I would be very hesitant to be bullish here. Right, we haven't seen enough yet, but I think that we're about to. It is the weekend though. It is Saturday, so we might move sideways today and tomorrow. And when I say if it's a V-shaped recovery, we need to move up soon. It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. It could be next week, but we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. If this is a V-shaped recovery, we're going to stop at one of two places. We're either going to stop right here, just around 107 to 108K, or we're going all the way up to about 116, 117K. Okay. And the real mayhem would be if we did go all the way up here, V-shaped recovery or not. V-shaped recoveries typically you do see a slightly higher high, and then you consolidate. So with that, that could be a lower high macro, and maybe that's a signal that we're going to go lower. Or because it's typical in a V-shaped recovery to go just above it, maybe this is just standard consolidation like a bull flag, and then we rally. It's going to be a real mind warp up at this area, especially because we're going to be so bullishly charged with euphoria if we do make this move from here to there. But I am at least expecting from here a move to, what was it? It was 89 to 93K. At least to there, right? Because I'm not personally expect. It's not that I'm not accepting that a V-shaped recovery can happen. It can happen, but I'm more expecting that we move sideways. So I would think that we first go to 89 to 93K, somewhere in that range, maybe as high as like 98K. Consolidate, come back down, and then sometime in late December we'll probably start to work our way up. That's my assumption. Maybe we form a W, maybe we form a horizontal channel, maybe we form a broadening pattern or a diamond. We'll see. We're in the very beginning stages of it now, but I've got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. All the indicators are bearish on the daily time frame, but we're also at points at which we normally reverse and we start pumping, so I would expect that happens soon enough. Again, the weekly RSI is at the lowest levels that we've seen it this whole cycle. Lower lows in the weekly RSI plus higher lows in the price. That is hidden bullish divergence. You can look it up. What is hidden bullish divergence? It'll say it's when the price has higher lows but the indicator has lower lows. Stochastics are at the exact same area that we've been every single time we found support this cycle. The MACD, the oscillators are right at the zero. Every single time we find support, it's right here at this level. And the histogram is the deepest that it's been. We have lower lows in the histogram, yet we have higher lows in the price all steps of the way. This is actually like double hidden bullish divergence right here. I got nothing else. In the long term, in the near term, things look bearish, but in the long term, as far as the weekly time frame is concerned, it looks like things are more ready to move up than they are to move down. If we close the week here or around here, a little bit higher even, we will be set up to bounce right off the weekly oversold area, and that could promote some very powerful signals in itself. I'll see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe. Take care of yourselves. Thank you all for being here.